A 30-year-old Fulbright scholar was swooped down on in broad daylight while she was on her way to break her fast to break Ramadan, arrested, placed in handcuffs, taken away like a criminal, and taken across state lines to another state and is now in detention. Why did this happen? Was this real? Now, this has sparked controversy, but not only controversy, but it has also sparked many protests across the United States because persons are protesting that this is an infringement on freedom of speech, because what is being said is that she is now being detained for something she wrote about over a year ago. Stay tuned while we dive into this trending topic to see what really sparked this arrest. Is this a new trend in terms of the immigration crackdown? And what does it mean for freedom of speech and for international students within the United States? So stay tuned. Level Life Hacks, where we take the next steps needed to go towards our financial freedom and our success. Now, the first thing that we're going to be doing is that we're going to be taking a look together and we're going to be reviewing the surveillance footage of what really happened to Romeza Öztürk, the international student that was detained. So let me pull up the footage so that we can review it together.
Yep, we're going to take it right to the car. Come on, we'll show you everything. Okay, sure. Yep, you're fine.
I understand you. I understand it's scary. Where the police? Where the police?
Where the police?
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
Yep. Okay, take everything. Yep, I'm going to take it down. Got it with you. Let's go.
Yeah, we're going to take a look.
I see some faces here. How do I know this is the police? It's like, hey.
Now, let us review what are the surrounding factors that resulted in this detention. Now, what has happened is that Ms. Öztürk, who attends Turk University, 1 year ago she co-authored an article, which was really an opinion piece, because what she had a contention with is that the university was avoiding a decision for divestment from companies that had ties with Israel. Now, what she also had a problem with, and as she stated it, it was a Palestinian genocide, quote unquote, that was occurring in that area, and that she had strong words to say regarding the humanitarian crisis that was happening in Gaza. But what she did not realize, and that's what many persons are saying, is that as an international student that has been given a visa to study within the United States, you need to be careful as to the comments that you're making regarding the United States. Remember, you are not even a permanent resident. You are not even a citizen. In Jamaica, we would have this expression that says, you can't sit down pan cow back cuss cow. In other words, you cannot be criticizing and cursing someone that you are dependent on. We have to be careful, my viewers. However, there are humanitarians and Democrats that are stating that this is politically motivated and it is now muffling free speech within the United States, because the First Amendment speaks to free speech, and it does not matter if you are a resident or if you are a citizen. The mere fact that you are residing within the United States, you do have the right for free speech. On the other hand as well, The Department of Homeland Security is saying that her arrest is because she is showing support for Hamas, which is a terrorist group, which by extension means or is showing that she is supporting terrorism. The legal justification as well is that based on this offense, her visa was revoked. She did not know that her visa was revoked. And then immediately as her visa was revoked, it means that she is now existing in the United States undocumented, which makes her presence here illegal, thus making her a criminal in their eyes. So she was operating not realizing that her visa had been revoked. She did not receive any notification of the revocation of her visa. She was only detained in the streets, placed in handcuffs, and now she is in detention in another state, in Louisiana to be exact, when she was actually detained in Massachusetts. Now, despite the fact that her attorneys have objected to her being removed from the state, it is being ignored and they are actually unsure of which detention center she is actually in Louisiana. The argument is also being raised that it is obvious that she was not given due process because immediately as her visa was revoked, she was detained in the streets and then she was moved outside of the state across state lines to another state in a detention center. Therefore, she did not have the opportunity to go before an immigration judge in an immigration court to argue her case and then ultimately to be given due process. If even the results were the same, the arguments are that she was not given due process. Now, this is a tricky one because just a few weeks ago we had Mahmoud as well, who was demonstrating, and he was actually in problems even as a legal permanent resident with parents being citizens, that his visa and his residency is now being revoked, and no matter the demonstrations that are happening, there has not been a reversal on that situation. Now, if you listen to the arguments as well of Marco Rubio, he was quite blunt. As a matter of fact, let's not hear it from me. Let's hear what he said in his comments to the press.
Oh, we revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it, and here's why. And I'll say it again. I said it everywhere. Let me be abundantly clear, okay? If you go apply for a visa right now, anywhere in the world, let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. And if we've given you a visa and then you decide to do that, we're going to take it away. I encourage every country to do that, by the way, because I think it's crazy to invite students into your country that are coming onto your campus and destabilizing it. We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave. Every country in the world has a right to decide who comes in as a visitor and who doesn't. If you invite me into your home because you say, I want to come to your house for dinner, and I go to your house and I start putting mud on your couch and spray painting your kitchen, I bet you're going to kick me out. Well, we're going to do the same thing if you come into the United States as a visitor and create a ruckus for us. We don't want it. We don't want it in our country. Go back and do it in your country. But you're not going to do it in our country.
Well, he does have a point though. If it is that you are given a student visa, the purpose of that visa is to come into the United States and to study, to get your academic qualifications, and then if you are not pursuing any other means to become a resident and citizen in the country, the objective is that you come here, study, and return home. Because if you violate the terms under which you were issued a visa for the United States, then they have all rights to revoke that visa. So there are strong arguments for and there are strong arguments against. However, my heart does go out to Miss Oster, because to be drawn down on in the streets like that, even when you hear her exclaiming in fright and in fear,
and put her in handcuffs.
I know that if I were in that situation, I know that I'd be weak in the knees and I would be so afraid. Then what about my family? They don't know where I am. They're not in contact with me. This is a frightening situation that I am sure no matter what side of the fence that you are, my viewers, you are sure to be sympathetic to her case. What it does say though is that now is not the time for you to be placing your status here within the United States in jeopardy. You have to know the rules, and even if you're going to be taking activist action, then you need to consult an immigration attorney or a consultancy like the one in our description box below that you can get an up to 60-minute free consultation. You need to ask these questions before you do certain things. The climate in the United States right now is one whereby immigrants, whether you are here legally or illegally, you are in jeopardy of your status being revoked if it is that you are breaking the law. Now, once you break the law, it is very hard for you to reason and to argue and to be reinstated as an international student, a green card holder, whatever your status was before. Now, even if it is that you are reinstated, look at the amount of legal fees now that she has to be paying, because lawyer fees are not cheap. And there is no guarantee that these immigration lawyers will be able to reinstate her student visa. And as I mentioned, it is not as if she's even a green card holder, as in a legal permanent resident. She is just here on a student visa. And again, I say the humanitarian aspect to be pulled on like that, not given due process, and to be detained and possibly deported, then that seems to be a little bit harsh. But as I said, there are strong arguments for, strong arguments against. At the end of the day, if it is that you are not a United States citizen, you need to be careful as to what you're doing and get the right legal advice before you do certain things. As usual, I thank you for the privilege of you spending your time with me today. I wish it were on better notes or happier notes. However, this is the reality of the situation right now. If you know of any international student that you need to warn as to what can happen to them, especially if you know that that international student, and they might be in our family, that they are very outspoken, then please share this with them and let them know that to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Thank you again for spending this time with me, and see you in the next video.